Greetings, this is Paul, your Pacific Northwest trail guide. I want to help you pick your next trail to explore, so let's check this one out. Even though Cape Lookout is a ways off the path of the Maine Coast Highway 101, it's such a great spot that it is still quite busy a lot of the time. Hiking out to the end of the peninsula and back is a total of about 5 miles, and you'll ascend over 800 feet along the way, mostly on the way back. This huge peninsula sticking out into the ocean offers great views up and down the coast, and you might even catch sight of some coastal wildlife here and there. Being up high on cliffs during this hike, you might find binoculars handy to survey or get closer look at the coastal birds. Depending on what time of year you come, you might also hope to see some migrating whales in the springtime, navigating their way around this huge spit of rock jutting into the ocean as they head north. If you come in the summertime, you're bound to find some kind of berry along the trail in abundance. Plenty of salmonberry in early summer and salal and evergreen huckleberry in later summer. You'll find Cape Lookout on the Oregon coast a little south of Tillamook. If coming from there, it's nice to follow Highway 131 out of town and turn off that onto Whiskey Creek Road, which takes you for a drive along Netart's Bay, and eventually you run into Cape Lookout. You'll find the trailhead up past the turnout for the Cape Lookout State Park Campground. After parking at the nice-sized lot, you can pick up the Cape Trail at the back of it. Follow signs for the Cape Trail, passing the North Trail. The first part of the hike takes us steadily down the peninsula as we approach a cliffside viewpoint. After that, we turn back inland and arrive at a viewpoint overlooking Wells Cove and up the north coast. Shortly after getting going on the trail, you pass the junction with the South Trail and start passing along a forested hillside. As you make your way closer to the oceanside cliffs, you might spot this plaque along the trail. It remarks on the nearby crash site of a B-17 bomber in 1943 nearby. The plaque commemorates the crew of the plane, which unfortunately crashed into the side of the cape while flying low along the coast in heavy fog. Soon after you reach the cliffs and can see down the south coastline. The trail does not spend long near the cliffs though before turning back inland to cross to the other side of the peninsula. A huge fallen tree upset the trail here, presenting you a first obstacle for the hike. As you can see, the berry bushes are absolutely thick along this trail, but not fruiting during my spring visit. As you pass through the middle of the peninsula, you also get a good look at some groves of ancient old Sitka spruce trees with huge growths of ferns high in their boughs. Eventually, you reach the north side and approach the fenced viewpoint over Wells Cove. For the next part of the hike, the trail continues past Wells Cove and heads back to the southern cliffs of this landmass, following it to the end of the cape. From this point on, the terrain of the trail gets much more challenging. As you make your way through this section, the trail is very muddy and full of huge roots and rocks to traverse. Some boardwalks help you through some of the muddier parts. As you make your way through this area, you get another view over Wells Cove before the trail heads back to the south. A bit more fun times in the mud and some more boardwalks brings you back to the south cliffs and a drier trail. Although the trail is drier, it still offers some rougher terrain and some sheer cliffs to be careful of. So do use caution here, as there's nothing more than a bush between you and the cliff edge along this stretch, if that. When you see a cable fence ahead, you've reached the end of the cape. The trail curves around to the north for just a bit to a more open viewpoint. The grand Pacific Ocean opens up before you, Hopefully you have some time to hang out here and see some of the wildlife in or above the water. If the Coast Guard is doing patrols at the time, though, you might have to settle for a helicopter sighting instead. After your nice rest here, your return trip awaits, heading back the way we came. This cape seems incredibly packed with life. It's like every possible plant that can grip onto this huge jet of rock is doing so, and rewarded for it with a moist and rich environment to thrive in. Seen a lot of log benches. It's the first time I've seen a root bench. Before you know it, you've reached Wells Cove again, and it's back to the easy flat trail to guide you back out. I definitely need to come back here when all these little flowers have turned to fruit. After visiting on a busy weekend, it might be good to come back on a weekday instead as well. Here are my ratings for the Cape Lookout Trail. For terrain, I rate it 3 rocks. The first part up to Wells Cove would only rate 1, but after that, there can be a lot of mud to deal with and minor obstacles, and there's also falling danger to be wary of. Only 1 cloud on elements for this mild, sheltered hike. The 5 miles is pretty average day hike length, giving it 3 boots. And finally, I rate the climb 2 mountains. Most of the ascent is pretty gentle and spread out. That's all for this edition of Pacific Northwest Trail Guide. I hope I have or will soon help you pick your next trail to explore. I scouted this trail in May of 2024, but trails are always evolving. If you pick this trail and encounter any changes people might like to know about, please help out your fellow explorers by sharing in the comments on this video. I've shown some of the beautiful sights of this trail in what feeble capacity video can render. A picture may be worth 1,000 words, but an experience with all of your senses cannot even be conveyed in pictures or video. So don't take my word for it. Get out there and see it for yourself.